The Search Podcast USA Edition series is sponsored by PGC. PGC are the longest serving employer of record in North America and can compliantly engage contractors across both the US and Canada on behalf of staffing and recruitment businesses. Our turnkey solution offers a unique access point to the largest staffing market in the world. To find out more, visit us at pgcgroup.com.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Search Podcast. I'm Elliott Manning, Managing Director of Payment Recruitment. I've mixed it up this week. I know that, throughout the podcast series, I've brought in different people in the industry who are experts in their, key areas and what they do. I've been very excited, to bring this guest on in terms of the product that they can offer to market. I think it's amazing. And wanted to share this with you guys and how it could really benefit you and what you're doing, whether you're in the UK, whether in the US or anywhere in the recruitment world. But I'll let you take an introduction away, mate.
Yeah, Elliot, great to catch up, and I'm glad we could actually connect in person as well
Yes.
last week. So now we're back in the virtual world. But yeah, just to give you a little bit of context, anybody who's listening to this, I'm Marcus. So I've been in the recruiting space the last 18 years now. All different types of roles. I started at careerbuilder.com, so I'm on the job board side. And then I went to the Adecco Group, where I was a president there globally. I led digital transformation, buying, building, and investing in HR tech businesses, and operating some as a CEO as well. And then decided the last couple of years to set something up that really was focused on initially around inclusion, but starting with a community base to give people access to talent. So we're operating more like a permanent recruitment company, but partnering with recruiting firms to give them access to talent. And then it evolved. Yeah, so we can maybe talk a little bit about that evolution and where we are now.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, for those that don't know, so you're in San Francisco, right? So we got to meet for the first time a week or so ago in Hackney in East London.
Yep.
Nice little spot there at a pub, and we've got to talk about everything around what you're doing, what you're wanting to do with the product itself, but I'm not going to give that away just yet. So do you mind? I mean, look, obviously you've come from the industry and have done so for a very, very long time, so you've seen the ins and outs of it all for many years. But what put you in a position of where do you think this product and this venture, where did it come from?
Yeah, so to your point, I've kind of been on the inside of the industry, but in different areas. So like the job board side to like a permanent placement / high frequency, high volume recruiting business, to then buying tech companies. And so I've seen it from all different angles. And the one thing that I've realized so there's two main things. One is that the biggest asset that you have as recruiters is your time. So how do you leverage that time? And then the other thing as well is the biggest advantage that you have, a competitive advantage, is building relationships. So I always think about how you can connect people as quick as possible to the other people that they want to get connected with. So that's always just been in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And we were doing a lot of that internally by generating curated lists, short lists, and we were using some AI to do that. And 6 years ago, I talked about the future of AI and recruiting for LinkedIn, and I made some predictions. And I was like, look, if I make these predictions, I don't do anything about it. I'm a hypocrite, basically. So I was like, what's next? And there was this moment that everybody heard about and saw, the kind of ChatGPT moment. But what actually happened in the AI industry is the models got a lot better and a lot more effective in being able to do certain things around trawling through large amounts of data. So we were using it internally. We were using it in our delivery team to deliver to clients, and our clients happen to be recruiting firms as well. I thought, well, if we can do it internally, can we productize some parts of it? It started very, very basically, like just by creating job descriptions. Okay, that was the first thing. If we can help someone create a job description in seconds that's relevant and really accurate, that's going to save a bit of time. And then if you can then convert it to a job ad, and then we started finding more and more use cases. And then we went into sourcing. How do you actually find the talent that you're looking for? Then we went into contact details.
Yeah.
Now it's gone into BD. So it's been an evolution, but feedback from our customers, and we just keep evolving it. And then now we have a product that you can just log in and use to help you save time as a recruiter and anything to grow your business.
Yeah. Am I right? I don't know if you're using the words too much or the terminology, but this AI, side of things, which has become, enormous in the industry. and I think is going to be, and already is, a game changer for most. And if they're not using it or they haven't seen it, when they do see it and they do start to kind of get a feel for what it's all about and what it's like, they'd be probably as shocked as I am of how effective and incredible it can be.
Yeah, I think people have heard a lot about the buzzwords for AI for a while, and then they've been trying to like do the reverse. They've been trying to like find a use case for the technology instead of doing it the other way round, where it's like you've got a really like significant use case, whether it's finding candidates, getting business development, doing outreach, like what it is you're trying to solve, and then there's a technology that solves it. And that was the approach that we took because we've been doing it ourselves. And so it seems like it's absolute magic when people use it, and that's like the reaction that we get. But really, the reality of it, it's just been a lot of customer conversations and iterations quickly. So we try and release, we can every 2 weeks, if not every 30 days, but it's always based on what our customers want and the customer feedback. So a lot you can do with it. But as we talked about earlier, it's almost like when you're a specialist recruitment, you've got one area that you focus on. That's why you're really good. And if you try and do everything for everyone, you're nothing to no one. So we talked about that as well. And it's like, what are the use cases? What are you trying to solve for?
So from what I understand, and something that you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, and we can edit it out if need be, but hopefully not. The understanding that I've got of it is that all these businesses have spent all this investment in their tech stack, right? They're utilizing things like job boards, LinkedIn, and they're so reliant on these things, and Zoom Info, Lusher, and whatnot. Like, there's so much that they're trying to figure out how to be better and what to do with it, and throwing money at everything and trying to like always be that next step ahead. But realistically, if they use the product like what you have and what you can offer them, it's all in one platform to an extent.
Yeah. And so we've consolidated a lot in one space. And it reminds me a little bit of, and it's not that we were going for this and we don't think we're as big as this, but it's like the iPhone moment almost, where you had this iPhone, or you had a phone before, and then you had a camera, then you had a calculator, then you had all these other apps, and you had to like bodge them together. You had a physical camera that you were carrying around. You then, even your cards, right? We see in England now, all your cards are on your phone. We're like, what are all these like key things that you need to get done, and how can we put it into one interface? Now, you still need at this point, you still need your CRM. So, but we've actually done the integrations through CRMs via email.
Yeah.
So instead of going directly into CRM, if your CRM is connected to your email, you've already got an integration without having to do an integration. And it's a small thing, but it just saves a lot of time. So we're all about everything you need in your business to grow it.
Yeah.
As whether it's a recruiting business or sales driven business. So we think about business growth. And inside that, you want to grow your business by finding talent. If you're a recruiter, you want to grow your business by finding clients. You want to grow your business by maybe doing what we're doing, marketing, podcasts, those types of things. So that's all we think about business growth.
I know that this is a tool that anyone in the world could use technically, right? But, obviously this podcast is dedicated to the US in this instance. So if you're a recruiter in the UK using this in the US, or you're in the US already, and you want to, utilize the platform to do some specific searching, information gathering, market mapping, pipeline building, contact database build out, all of that, and to prevent you from doing that, yes, you can potentially go on Google and sit there and try and find all this information, for example, which is quite long-winded. You just talk to this product, and forgive me if I'm right in saying this, but like, you talk to the app that you've built, and it will just basically give you that information, and you're having a conversation with someone or something that can basically just feed everything back to you and across all of the areas that you're asking it.
Yeah, and that was one of the main reasons we call it EQ Buddy, because in the US, like, your buddy is like the person that's going to help you out to do something, and it's really just there. It's your mate, exactly. It could be EQ Mate or EQ Buddy, right? Maybe you've got to think about that for the UK. But yeah, it's you pretty much talk to it like you talk to a human, and you would ask it certain questions. So whether that is generate a very specific candidate list for this particular location for this type of role, or you could even say generate a specific candidate list on Instagram or on TikTok or sites outside, or find me communities. And then after that, you then can go down a different flow that you want to go down, right? So maybe you decide you want to outreach to them for certain reasons. Maybe you don't want to recruit them right now, but you want to say, hey, like, just wanted to connect with you. We've created templates inside of the application where you can just hit a button and it will then start to send out to who you'd like to send it to. And then the other use cases have been a lot around business development. Like if you want to open up a new market, you don't really know much about it. We've got a company right now who's using it to find out who all the competitors are in that particular market, and then reverse engineer and see what jobs they're posting, and then based on that, getting tips to then figure out what markets they should go into and where the growth areas are. Right. So there's this, and what I love about it, and the reason I'm smiling so hard is our customers is like, did you know I was using it for this, this, and this? And I'm like, amazing, that's great. Now we can take that down, and then we decide, do we then start to expand in that area, make it easier for somebody else to use as well? So
the research element of it is massive. And I remember when you showed it to me for the first time, and you kind of did a search on me, and I was just like, it was just incredible what you could actually find and pick up. But what actually is linked to it is obviously the more important part, because then it takes you down different routes and avenues of more information that leads to other things. It's great. Can you tell me more about the community that you've built with it and kind of the purpose of that and how valuable that is to be involved with when using, working with you guys?
Yeah, so we actually started the company. The official name of the company is EQ Community. So we started as a community first. And again, going back to like connecting to people, I think that in this world of AI, like one of the big challenges that people have is adoption, because they don't really know what to use things for. So we created this environment where you can have conversations with us, but then also peers, and say, well, this is what I'm working on, and this is what I'm thinking about. Is there a use case for that? Or how do we help them with either some video information or tips to get updated? And the communities, it's an interesting one, because it's quite hard to keep a sustainable community because there's so many different communities and everyone's getting saying, oh, can you log into this WhatsApp one? Can you log into this new community in this group? But it's really just a place that you can go to get information and insights from industry peers to help you grow your business, so you don't feel like you're alone. And that's really, and we also, the other thing that we really do that, like a big part of our community, especially with some of our top clients, is we do a lot of stuff in person with them, where we will connect other members. So maybe we're speaking at conferences and we'll do an event off the back of that before, during, and after with our users and members, so we can connect other community members and they have conversations and kind of figure out different ways to use the AI as well. And that's worked really well, because it's quite informal, but it's good fun.
Amazing. What's the plan with it now, moving forward, and where do you see you taking the the business, for those again listening in on the podcast, and whether you're a business owner, you're a recruiter, or even a supplier to the industry, whichever it may be, in this space, this, if you're interested in kind of taking your business to the US, there's opportunities there that are endless. And as much as I want to know a bit more about that plan, I'm kind of asking two questions here. Why did you do it in the States and not here in the UK? And I know that obviously there may be a personal aspect to it, but the opportunity there, I'm assuming, was far greater.
Yeah, so I think that there are a few types of products, not every product, which travels fairly well. So I think social media apps travel pretty well. LinkedIn travels pretty well. It's like the same in the US as it is in the UK. And I think our product's kind of one of those products that travels pretty well. So we started in the US because there was a demand, and that's where our initial customers were. But we're actually getting calls from a lot of even companies that outsource some of their recruiting teams in different countries. So if I look at the list of countries, I think I looked before, I think it's like 15 odd countries that are using it right now, maybe even more. But we had people in Romania, we had people in Poland that were using it. We've now got people in the Philippines that are using it. So I think for the US, where the demand has been, as people like, whether or not you want to sell or you want to get recruited, that's really been the opportunity for us to start there. And I was personally based there, had a lot of contacts there, and being able to get people to try it. And also where I am in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, that's where a lot of the innovation is happening around AI. So, and not to get into too much detail, but like next week, I was looking at my calendar and I've got like 3 events that I'm going to in one day, and they're all around AI. And I've got a really good friend of mine who actually developed one of the first AI companies, Text Kernel. He's hosting an event next week, but he happens to be coming to where I am. And then there's another event I'm speaking. So it's all that kind of area of where things are going on. So getting the innovation and the customers is a good place for us to start.
Fantastic. So back to the kind of the first part of that two-part question was, and they had no relevance, by the way. I just threw them in there because I've got a lot to ask.
Yeah.
But what's the plan for the business moving forward, and where do you see it taking it? And is there anything else in production where that you wouldn't mind sharing, or is it something you're kind of not ready to release yet?
Yeah, so I think as far as like the business overall, we're really, really focused on like three facets I always talk about is like of a business. There's only two things you need for a business, but there's one thing in between. And you need to get customers and you need to keep them happy. There's only two things you need to do. But in order to do that, you've got to have a good product. So we have like a feedback cycle of like getting customers. Once we get customers, we get feedback, build that into the product, then we retain them and we go around in this circle. At the moment, we've actually got a product we're pretty proud of now. So it's now about getting it out there and telling as many people as possible about it, and making sure that they understand the use cases. So the plan for this part of the year is to get to a certain amount of thousands of users that will be using the platform. The things that we're thinking about bringing out, and they're kind of on the roadmap in the background, but one of the things is really developing some specific cohorts of sales directors and leaders, recruiting directors and leaders and founders, where they can learn together in small pods and peers on what we're doing, but also just share their stories. So building again on the community aspect of it is a big part, and then that drives our product development. Our product roadmap's always driven from what the customers want versus what we think's good. So yeah, I think the other thing to bear in mind is like AI is moving so fast. There were things that we've built that we didn't have on the roadmap. Like now you can put a few pages worth of information in the app and it can understand it and take it. We didn't know that was going to be possible because you can only type in small sentences. So you can put in a full job description or a full PR and marketing doc, which we done. And we said, make this really, really relevant to this particular customer. So the actual space and the storage, which it doesn't sound that sexy and that exciting, but for the users, really good because you can upload and have more information in there as well. So I see that expanded.
Amazing. The community thing's becoming massive, and it's been growing for quite some time. But these WhatsApp groups and these kind of networking events and groups itself, are so valuable. But if you had, I agree with you. If you have people in and I can see it now, communities talking in certain huddles, if you like, about the product and things that they've done with it and that they need with it. They're just educating each other, but also utilizing their own ideas that can actually then benefit you to then build the product against it and take the information for research, etc., to make it better. So I can see that, being extremely valuable. But Marcus, look, I think it's incredible. I really strongly advise and suggest to everybody to give it a go and have a look at it, and just be as mesmerized and surprised as as I was, and still am about the product itself. We're going to put a call to action right on this podcast for those that are interested to reach out to Marcus directly, go and have a look at it, go and play around with it. I think talk to him about what he's got on offer to do so. Am I right in saying that there's a 7-day kind of free trial on it?
For your podcast listeners, there is, Elliott.
Okay, for the podcast listeners, there is.
Yeah, so we'll have a special link so that stays up because now we're starting to maybe evolve and change. But yeah, we're going to make sure that everybody who's listening to this that tunes in gets access for free.
We'll keep this in there for the minute then, right? For those that are interested. So we'll put all this information on there, but do some research in it. I think people hear about it. I think people are seeing it a lot more advertised on LinkedIn and in the news. But when it comes to our industry and how powerful our industry is and what this can actually do to benefit you, you've got to check it out and look at it and see for yourself. But Marcus, mate, I generally wish you the best of luck with it. You and I obviously are going to still keep talking. I know that you appear a lot on LinkedIn, and for those that follow Marcus, you'll see him pop up every day, every week, with a lot of insightful information. And you've got a connection with some really cool people in the industry that are very vocal as well, and quite inspiring in what they do. So we'll get all that out there. Wish you the best of luck with the product, mate, and I'm sure we'll speak very soon.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, Elliott. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.